Chopin's first set of 12 studies, the Douze Grandes Etudes Opus 10, was composed from 1828 to 1832, published in June 1833 and dedicated to Liszt. To the young Chopin, the principally didactic character and purpose of existing stereotyped piano exercises and studies were not sufficient to conquer the technical and musical demands his compositions presented. On October 24, 1829, Chopin wrote to his friend Wojciechowski, "I have composed a grand study in my own manner." Those last 4 words provide some insight into the originality of Chopin's style, the man and his music being inseparable. Number 8 in F major was probably the first etude to be written. By 1831, when Chopin arrived in Paris, all but numbers 3 and 4 had been completed. On completion of the set, he arranged their order for publication. The etudes are as much studies in expression and emotional dynamic as pure technique. They present a formidable challenge to pianists and, with few exceptions, exhaust all technical and musical possibilities. Louis Kentner described them as a perfect fusion of the athletic and aesthetic. This essential fusion is not always evident in performance, where there is a predilection to dismiss Chopin's score directions for those of personal preference. Although well documented that he had a grave distaste for all forms of excess and exaggeration applied to his music, the sledgehammer score he referred to, this has not always prevented it from being subjected to distortions. There have been numerous editions of the Etudes since their first publication, including those edited by Chopin's pupils, Mikuli, Tellefsen, Gutmann, Wolf and Fontana, who were all in disagreement. A disconcerting fact, as some critical editions have been based on these spurious copies. Pianistic traditions are not to be relied upon for credibility. With the plethora of editions to choose from, there exists a musical minefield for those seeking to give interpretations as closely as possible to Chopin's intentions. In 1972, my former teacher Louis Kentner introduced me to the importance of studying all available original source materials. Since then, I have continued to study Chopin's autograph manuscripts, original copies, first edition scores, draft copies, the annotated scores and documentation, including correspondence. Due to the disparities found when comparing original sources with various edited publications, there are many variants included in my performances on the first disc, which are impossible to detail fully here. My comments and illustrations on each etude can only touch on some of the predominating aspects of interpretation, given the confines of this second disc, with brief comparative examples of some of the widely differing approaches. Tempo and metronome markings are only given where authenticated as being written in Chopin's hand, omitting all editorial suggestions.